So when something about Africa is talked about, is normally bad, is normally violent, is normally something about the country or something that just happened where a disease broke, and it's never good. So your perception is what people have forced you to believe.
What if everything you think you know about Africa was a lie? What if the images in your head about the continent, such as poverty, disease, and war, weren't reality, but the result of decades of deliberate narrative control? Kevin Hart stood in South Africa and admitted something most celebrities would never say out loud. He was terrified to visit. He called friends, asking if he needed shots for diseases he couldn't name, genuinely believing he might get kidnapped.
So all I know is what the news says. So in my mind, I'm like, hey man, I'm not trying to go over there and get kidnapped. Okay? Like it's a reality. It's not me saying it to hypothetically say it. I'm saying from what I've seen.
Then, after seeing Johannesburg and Cape Town with his own eyes, he looked at the cameras and exposed how Western media built a false narrative about Africa. The people he called told him he sounded ignorant, that South Africa was just like any other major city. But Hart kept asking because he was repeating what the media had forced him to believe. Then he landed in Johannesburg. Hart said he felt like he was in New York, that Cape Town reminded him of Malibu. He saw modern infrastructure, thriving businesses, and fans who loved his comedy. He was blown away, not just by the beauty but by recognizing the gap between reality and what he'd been told. So he asked, why don't they show this? Why don't they show the beautiful picture of Johannesburg in the media? Why don't they show Cape Town or Durban? Why, when people show things about Africa, are they always shown in a negative light? And his answer was that your perception is what people have forced you to believe. Before we continue, drop a comment. Have you ever questioned where your mental image of Africa actually came from? When Western media covers Africa, the focus is almost always war, famine, disease, corruption, and instability. Ebola outbreaks, Boko Haram, refugees fleeing conflict, children with flies on their faces while sad music plays. These stories exist, they're real, but they're not the whole story. Africa is 54 countries, over 1 billion people, thousands of cultures and economies. South Africa has a GDP larger than dozens of European nations. Nigeria's Nollywood produces more movies annually than Hollywood. Kenya's M-Pesa revolutionized mobile banking. Ghana has a thriving middle class. Rwanda is one of the cleanest, most efficiently governed countries in the world. But you don't see that on the evening news. You see crisis, poverty, and disease over and over, until that becomes the only association. Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie calls this the danger of the single story. When you hear only one narrative about a place, repeated endlessly, it flattens them, erases complexity, eliminates the possibility of seeing them as fully human. Hart experienced this. Even after talking to people who'd visited, even after research, he still carried the fear, because repetition creates reality. When the only images you see show suffering, when the only stories focus on failure, your brain builds a map. That map becomes your reality, hard to erase, even when confronted with contradictory evidence. Tell us in the comments, when you think of Africa, what's the first image that comes to mind? For the Black diaspora, this narrative has deep impact. Slavery erased language, culture, and family lineage, and for centuries since, the media has reinforced that Africa is something to pity, not celebrate, something to escape from, not connect to. When Hart admitted his fear, he revealed the internalized narrative many Black Americans carry, that Africa is dangerous, backwards, diseased, that the homeland is something to be ashamed of rather than proud of. For African communities, when the world only sees you through poverty and crisis, it affects how you see yourself, your confidence, ambition, and your belief in what's possible. Most importantly, it affects how the world treats you. Global perception shapes investment, tourism, and opportunity. When investors think of Africa, they think risk and instability. When tourists think of Africa, they think of safaris, not modern cities. When international organizations think of Africa, they think aid recipients, not partners. This pattern has roots centuries deep, tied to colonialism and the need to justify exploitation. When European powers carved up Africa in the late 1800s, they needed a narrative. The Dark Continent, savages who needed civilization, societies incapable of progress without European intervention. These stories were repeated so often they became accepted truth. And even after colonialism ended, the narrative just evolved. Instead of savages, underdeveloped instead of primitive, Third world instead of needing civilization, needing aid. The core message remained: Africa is broken. Africa needs help. Africa can't save itself. When you control the story, you control the perception. When you control the perception, you control the power. But something is changing. Social media has disrupted the monopoly on storytelling. Africans can now tell their own stories directly to global audiences. YouTube creators in Lagos show daily life. Instagram influencers in Nairobi document tech culture. TikTok users share fashion, music, food that counters every stereotype. More diaspora members are visiting and sharing experiences that don't match what they saw on TV. African artists like Burna Boy, Wizkid, and Thames are topping global charts. Films like Black Panther are reshaping how Africa is imagined, and voices like Kevin Hart's matter. When a globally famous entertainer admits he believed the propaganda and calls out the media, it gives permission for others to question what they've been told. Hart said it explicitly: until you get the heart to go, until you say I'm going to see for myself, you don't know. All you know is what the news says, what the media has forced you to believe. But once you see it for yourself, once you experience the gap between the story and reality, you can't unsee it. That's when you start asking, why was I told this? Who benefits from me believing this? What else have I been told that isn't true? For centuries, the story of Africa was told by people who weren't from Africa, and those who had something to gain by portraying it a certain way. That story served a system that needed Africa to be weak and dependent. But stories are changing now, not because institutions decided to be fair, but because the tools of storytelling are no longer controlled by a few gatekeepers. Kevin Hart's admission that he believed the propaganda is part of a larger shift, a shift in who gets to tell the story, who gets to define reality. The lie about Africa isn't just about one continent, it's about the power of narrative itself, about who controls what you think you know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Which part resonated with you most? If you want more content challenging what you've been taught, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.
Why not show us the amazing stuff that's over here, so when we get here, we see for ourselves, and then our senses are enhanced to where not only do we want to come back, but we want to come back and we want to be involved with things that you have going on. But until we get the heart as artists and we spread that rumor ourselves, we don't know. And to be honest, we're a community. That's how I ended up coming over. I know Nicki, I know Beyonce, I know Jay-Z and all. I talked to them. Hey, guys, is there anything to worry about? Guys, should I get these shots? They told me to get the shots. Do I need the shots? This was a big thing for me. I'm not lying. Like, I literally called several people. When I called people, I had people track down people that were from Cape Town, from Johannesburg, and I talked to them. Hey, man, am I going to get bit by a mosquito and not be able to come back? Kevin, what are you talking about? You sound ignorant. No, you don't need nothing like that. It's the same. You're going to come over and you're going to be shocked. And I was like, I know, but they said I need shots. Do I need these shots? No, but I'm repeating what I've heard. I'm repeating what the media has forced me to believe. So now that I'm here, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I don't need shit. I'm fine. It's a city. Like, I feel like I'm in New York. I felt like I was in Malibu the other day. Like, it's the same exact thing. And it's frustrating because it makes you guys, as the media, it makes me go to y'all and question y'all. You have the chance to put out the positive side of where you are and where you live.